keep seniors on fixed incomes warm during the bitter cold months. But we can't do this work without you. Together, we can help ensure no Vermonters have to choose between heating their homes and feeding their families this winter. Please give generously at fuelyourneighbors.org. Your donation will be matched by our generous sponsor, VSECU. Thank you.
The Brady Farkas Show is produced and funded by WDEV and the Radio Vermont Group. We welcome listener feedback. Email your comments to wdev@radiovermont.com.
The energy. The guy told me I was no spring chicken anymore, and that's why my ankle was still hurting. I'm 33, not 133. The passion. The Red Sox handling of Xander Bogaerts is a complete organizational failure. The opinions on all your favorite teams. No, not this year, but it's next year where Bill Belichick ends up on the hot seat. This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com. What's up, everybody? Happy Friday to you here on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. I'm so happy we're in the sports zone. I'm so happy I don't have to talk about the weather anymore. It's freezing. We know that. It's going to be freezing tonight. We know that too. And tomorrow. We know that. I just want to talk about sports, and that's what we're here to do for the next hour. We're on 5:30 until 6:30. Then we kick it on over to Norwich hockey. The Cadets are taking on Southern Maine tonight. It is George Como night at Kreitzberg Arena. Hopefully all of you are braving the weather and driving there safely, getting to Northfield and paying homage to one of the best broadcasters in Vermont state history. I certainly wish I could be there. I will be here, but I know Lee and some members of DEV will be there. We've got some more nutso Tom Brady discourse going on today. We'll talk about that. Brian McLaughlin, the UVM Hoops broadcaster, will be with me at 5:45. Talk about the Cats as they get ready to go to Albany tomorrow. And some stuff out of the NBA that I want to get to regarding load management. We'll talk about all of that as we move through. You can get in on the Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line. That's 802-585-3026, or locally owned Napa stores in Waterbury and Morrisville.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go. The opening thoughts on the Brady Farkas Show are brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and by Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center with locations in Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and at Swanton Lumber. They're online at sticksandstuff.com. I don't even have the bandwidth to talk about Kyrie Irving anymore. I don't. Now, look, I'm going to spend a few minutes on this story, but I really don't have the energy to talk about Kyrie anymore. Kyrie Irving remains to me one of the most confusing and infuriating athletes on the planet. And today, he showed that again, and he proved that again by what? He requested a trade today from the Brooklyn Nets. The NBA trade deadline is coming up next Thursday, and Kyrie today told the Nets that he wanted out. It's absolutely perplexing. It's absolutely infuriating. The Nets have the third best record in the league since Thanksgiving, and they're getting Kevin Durant back soon. They have legitimate championship possibilities when fully healthy and engaged. And here is Kyrie Irving, once again, set to just torpedo something and leave something burning behind him. I don't get it. I'm tired of it. It is like clockwork. Kyrie is on his best behavior for a couple of months, and then something happens and everything goes to hell. And that is where we are at again today. I don't have the bandwidth for it anymore. I've talked about this, I feel like, this same story with Kyrie 4 or 5 different times. It's old to me. It's old to you. I'm tired of it. Kyrie Irving is set to torpedo another team with championship aspirations. He torpedoed the Cavs when he couldn't stand being LeBron's sidekick anymore. He torpedoed the Celtics. He torpedoed one Nets season because of the vaccine stuff last year, and now he's hurt this one twice. He hurt it when he was suspended and brought drama for the anti-Semitic comments, and now he's set to try to torpedo it and leave everything just burning in his wake. What does Kyrie Irving even want? That's the question I want to know, right? People want to talk about, what can the Nets get and who's the suitors and who. I don't really want to talk about that stuff. What I want to know is, what does Kyrie Irving even want? Because I just do not get Kyrie. Does Kyrie want to win? That's a question mark. Winning is what drives Kyrie. Well, guess what? He's got a pretty good chance at doing that in Brooklyn, and he's set to ruin it. For what? Like, if Kyrie wants to win, he's got a good chance to win right where he is in Brooklyn. But he wants to ruin that. Why? Who's even going to take a chance on Kyrie? Kyrie doesn't get to control where he goes, by the way. The Nets can ship him off to Oklahoma City if they feel like it. Is he hoping the Lakers will take a chance on him? The Lakers are currently out of the playoffs in the Western Conference. Yes, they could get better. They could probably finish third or fourth in the West. But is that a better chance to win than Brooklyn has? I don't think so. The Clippers are the 5th seed. Does he want them to take a chance on him? Maybe, but I still think Brooklyn has as good a better chance to win than either of those two teams. So does Kyrie want to win? I don't know if that's what this is about. Is Kyrie Irving looking for money? Is money driving this? I don't know. The reports were out that Kyrie was looking for a multi-year deal from Brooklyn and didn't get one to his liking. So now maybe he's just taking his ball and going home. Well, guess what? No team that acquires Kyrie Irving is going to instantly give him the multi-year deal that he covets. Guess what? The best thing about Kyrie is that he's on an expiring contract. You don't have to put up with him for 5 years. You have to try to put up with him for 5 months. No team. Kyrie wants a multi-year deal with fully guaranteed money and no contingencies in Brooklyn. The Nets understandably don't want to give him that. So he wants to go somewhere else. Well, guess what? Nowhere else is going to give him that right away either. If the Lakers acquire him, if the Clippers acquire him, if Dallas acquires him, they're all just getting a hired gun to try to win a championship. And they'll see how his behavior is, and maybe if they want to be in bed with him long term. Kyrie's getting no guarantees out of anybody he gets traded to. He wanted guarantees in Brooklyn, didn't get them. He's not getting them in the next spot either. I mean, Kyrie, so it can't be about the money because he's not getting that anywhere. Kyrie wants a long-term deal. I don't even know that I buy that. Kyrie Irving said a few years ago, I'm not going to play forever. I could see Kyrie Irving retiring at 32 or 33. I could see Kyrie being out of the league in 3 years. Do you really think that Kyrie Irving is going to play until he's 38? I don't. Do you think he's committed enough to play for another 8 years? I don't. So Kyrie wants what, a 5-year deal from Brooklyn? I don't know that Kyrie will be here in 5 years. He very well might be out of the league at 32 or 33. He said as much a couple of years ago. So I don't know if he wants to win. I don't know if it's about money. And I don't know if it's about long-term security because I don't know that Kyrie is long-term for the NBA. Is this all about respect? That's the next thing to check off the list. Did he feel so disrespected by the Nets offer that he just wants to up and leave? Is that what this is about? I think the Nets have done a pretty good job at showing Kyrie respect. They fired the coach that was there already in Kenny Atkinson. They brought in a guy that was Kyrie approved in Steve Nash. They fired Steve Nash, presumably because Kyrie and Durant wanted it to happen. They let him eventually come back and play in half the games last year, despite the COVID stuff. They supported him through the COVID stuff. They even initially supported him through the anti-Semitic comments this year. I think the Nets have played the situation with kid gloves most of the time. I don't know how much more respect you could reasonably get if you were Kyrie Irving from your organization. They seem to have supported him quite well through all of his issues. They seem to have defended him when they felt it was necessary. So what exactly is this about? What is Kyrie Irving looking for? Because just man to man, it seems like Kyrie Irving is never happy and he's someone who is never satisfied. That's it. It feels like Kyrie Irving is never happy and never satisfied. I mean, look, he won a title already. And the situation in Cleveland wasn't good enough for him, right? So he's won a title. That situation wasn't good enough. Okay. He wanted to be the face of the franchise. He had that in Boston. That wasn't good enough either. Okay. Then he wanted to play with his friends and with Kevin Durant, and that's not good enough either. He wanted say in the organization. He got that in Brooklyn. That's not good enough either. He wanted a long-term contract with good money. He's got that, and that's not good enough either. So what is it that Kyrie is looking for? Does Kyrie want to go play for the Lakers and pair with LeBron again? He couldn't stand that the first time. Does Kyrie want to go to the Clippers and be a part of the second fiddle team in the city? Did you think that Kyrie and Kawhi Leonard are really going to get along? I mean, Kawhi's got some diva in him as well. He's just much more quiet about it. But do you really think that they're going to gel? The Mavericks are rumored to be interested in Kyrie. I would hate that because do not take our pure superstar Luka and put him with Kyrie. I'm begging you, NBA gods, don't do that. But I just don't know. Kyrie has had everything at various points in his career, and none of it has been good enough. So what is it that you want? You've had fame, you've had money, you've had titles, you've had statistics, you've had all-star appearances, you've had awards, you've had respect, you've had money, you've had long-term security. What is the issue here? What is it that you want? I don't know. And it's so frustrating to me because Kyrie Irving is truly a wizard. Kyrie Irving is a breathtaking basketball player to watch. I've said this for the last 6 years. When he is right, Kyrie Irving is the prettiest basketball player to watch play in the NBA. Like his game is the prettiest. Steph Curry has some pretty. Luka has some pretty. Kyrie Irving, when he's right, is an artist. His handle, his ability to hang in the air, his ability to finish at the rim, his quickness, his first step, his jump shot, all of it is pretty. Everything Kyrie does on the court is pretty, and we don't get to see it enough because he gets in his own way. It's also infuriating because you know what? Truly, under the surface, I think Kyrie is a pretty smart guy. Under the surface, I think he's inquisitive. I think he's articulate. I don't have to agree with what he believes in, but I think he's a critical thinker. But he just gets in his own way constantly. There have always been athletes who were eccentric or who were enigmatic, but I can't remember anyone who's ever been at the level of Kyrie Irving, who is so good, but so maddening. Nothing seems good enough for him. Right? I mean, he's playing with, at the time, the best team in the NBA in Cleveland, with the best player in LeBron. Not good enough. Wins a title. Not good enough. Even hits the shot that wins them the title. Not good enough. He's got the money. He's got the endorsements. That's not good enough. He goes to Boston. He's the face of the franchise. Maybe that's what he wants. That's not good enough. He's playing in a city where his father went to college. That's not good enough. Now he goes to Brooklyn. He's playing with his best friend. He's playing with Durant. He's playing in the area he grew up in. That's not good enough. And in all three cities, he said he would never leave, and he's wanted out of each of them. He told a little kid in Cleveland, I'm never leaving. He went and said at Boston to the crowd at the season ticket event, season ticket holder event, I want my name in the rafters. And he just said a couple of weeks ago, I'm not leaving my guy, Kevin Durant. Well, that's what he wants now. I can't figure it out. John in Moncton says, I was happy when he left Boston. He's not a team player. Phil in Middlesex says Kyrie is totally crazy. Bob in Morrisville says, I feel bad for Kevin Durant. Man, I don't know. I do and I don't. Right? I do and I don't. I feel bad for all of Kyrie Irving's teammates, all of them. Right? They have to walk on eggshells around him. They don't know what mood he's going to be in on what day. He's hard to play with. They have to answer questions about him. They have to defend him. They have to deflect. He's on their mind. It's drama. I feel bad for all of Kyrie's teammates. But at the same time, Kevin Durant chose this. Right? We all know a guy who's not in a great marriage, right? And we can all usually point out and say, you know what? I feel bad for so-and-so, but so-and-so married her when he didn't have to. I got a friend like that. Man, I feel bad for that guy. That's a tough way to live. He chose it. He married her. We all know somebody like that. That's Kevin Durant. So I feel bad for him, but I don't necessarily feel bad for him. He left Steph Curry, among the most selfless of superstars, to play with this guy, who is one of the notoriously most difficult people to play with, get along with, and thrive with. You chose this. I don't even have the energy to talk about Kyrie anymore. Right? All over the country, people are doing shows. Okay, can the Lakers give up 2 1s and Russell Westbrook? And is that enough? And what about the contract? I don't even care. Here's what I hope. I hope the Nets trade Kyrie Irving to the Western Conference so he's away from the Celtics. That's what I hope. Right? That's what I hope. I hope he doesn't go to Dallas because I don't want him to poison Luka. Go to the Lakers, go to the Clippers, ruin them, burn those situations to the ground, be out of the playoffs in the first round if you even make it, and let's get the Celtics an easier path to the Eastern Conference Finals. That's what I'm rooting for. At the end of the day, that's where I'm at on this. Kyrie Irving is just maddening to me. Texter says, why are we wasting time on New York City basketball? Well, Kyrie Irving's the hot topic nationally. I always say I don't always do national stories. When I do, I try to relate them to local stuff. The Nets affect the Celtics. Kyrie used to play here. That's the connection. That's why we're wasting time on it. But if you don't like it, we've got local basketball right now. UVM men's basketball, in fact, they're 6-2 inside America East play. They're winners of 4 straight. They're on the road tomorrow afternoon, 3:00 against UAlbany. That will be their. They will have now completed a full run around every America East Conference opponent. The voice of the Catamount Hoops team is on the phone with us now. It's our guy, Brian McLaughlin. So, Brian, I'm all talked out about Kyrie, and I'm happy to talk to you. How you doing, man?
I'm good, Brady. Appreciate you having me on.
Well, I'm glad you're with us. Let me start with a logistical question. Where is tomorrow's game being played? Because UAlbany's arena was under construction for a while, and they've been playing games at Hudson Valley Community College. Are they still playing there, or is the arena good?
It's my understanding we're at Hudson Valley Community College tomorrow. I have not heard an update otherwise. So I believe it is officially the McDonough Sports Complex at Hudson Valley Community College. I think that is the official title there.
It is, and I can also tell you that I was the pitching coach at said Hudson Valley Community College, and that is one of actually my favorite spots to watch a game. I'm actually going to tell you, you will really enjoy the atmosphere. Like, I don't know what the crowd is going to be like, but vantage points, sight lines, the environment, it's a cool place. Like, you hear all the games at a junior college arena, and they're kind of like, not there. That is a cool place to watch a game.
Yeah, I remember I've tuned into a couple of the men's games there this season, and I remember watching the women's UVM game down there that they played in that same gym, and I was generally surprised by what I saw on my web stream. It looks like a pretty solid facility, and the Albany crowd is always a vocal group, so they'll do a good job. I'm sure bringing some noise tomorrow, especially because it's the Catamounts in town. You know, that's always a big game wherever UVM goes.
Well, so I grew up in Albany, and I coached there, and they used to play all the high school playoff games at Hudson Valley Community College. So I've played in that gym a bunch. So it really is a cool place to watch. If you had said the game was at Sefke Arena, I was going to tell you the story about how I used to be the guy that threw T-shirts in the crowd there.
No
One
way.
of my, one of my first jobs was when I was at the radio station in Albany. I was the guy who threw the T-shirts and led the in-game entertainment at UAlbany basketball and football games. So I used to get the crowd going. I used to throw the T-shirts in the crowd, fired the T-shirt cannon, bring out the students to make fools of themselves, trying to hit half-court shots to win free tuition. One kid did win a TV once, which was pretty cool when I was on the court. But that used to be my gig, throwing T-shirts at UAlbany games.
There's not many more popular people at a basketball game or any sporting event than the T-shirt cannon guy. If you've got the cannon, everybody loves you.
And I wanted to use the cannon. Like, I think I was supposed to let the cheerleaders do it or let some little kid do it, but no, I wanted to do it. So
of course,
let's focus on the catamounts. As I said, I've got that feeling now, and early in the season, I said this from the start that even through the struggles, I thought the goal should have been to win the conference still. And I thought that was attainable. However, it looked hard. It looked like it was going to be a tough road to get there. And here we are. They've won 4 straight. They're 6-2 inside league play. What do you think is the biggest reason for the, in quotes, turnaround over the last 2.5 weeks or so?
Yeah, it's interesting because they have turned it around as far as the record goes, and some key statistical categories have helped them out. I think, though, that they are the same team they were back in November. I just think that they went through some early adversity. They didn't respond all that well early on. But getting back to the East Coast, playing games in conference play against familiar teams, and it is worth remembering that this team starts 5 fifth-year seniors. They are an old team, even though there are a lot of new pieces. Dylan Penn has played a ton of games throughout his career. Cam Gibson has seen a lot in his career. Finn Sullivan, a fifth-year guy. Matt Veretto, a fifth-year senior. He's a graduate student. He's the most inexperienced of this group, but he might be the most mature guy on this team off the court and has really become, even though he's an inexperienced basketball player, Matt Veretto in moments is the heartbeat of this team. And then there's Robin Duncan, Brady. I mean, talk about a stabilizing force. Robin has played the best basketball of his career. He's playing aggressive, confident on the offensive end. He and Finn Sullivan, when they're on the court together, are such a tough duo to score the ball against because they're so switchable. They're both strong. They're both big. They're both athletic and quick. So you have all these factors that I think once you got to conference play, in addition to a very solid coaching staff, I think they were always feeling like, okay, we can settle ourselves down once we get to January. And that's what ended up happening. And so they feel like they're in the spot they expected to be at this point in the season, all the way back in November. I'm sure they would have told you they would have liked November to have gone a lot smoother as well. But I think they feel like they are the team they thought they were going to be. And so they're feeling like they're playing good basketball, not over exceeding any expectations at the moment. And they've gotten contributions from some unexpected spots. TJ Hurley, Iliri Iofalia, and Matt Veretto have been surprises in some ways. And so it's been nice to find some of those recently.
I agree with you almost 100%. I will add in, though, that I think the change recently has been generally they've shot the ball a lot better from the outside. And I think that is a huge key to this team moving forward. Obviously, it sounds simple, right? You shoot well, you're going to play better. That's true. But this team is putting up a lot of 5 for 20s from 3 in the early part of conference play. They go out and hit 11, I think, against Binghamton. They hit 12 against NJIT. You saw them only hit 5, I think, against UMBC, and the game's a lot closer than a lot of people probably think it should have been. If they can hit, I don't know, in that 7 to 10 3-pointers a game range, I think they're very tough to beat. When they're going 5 for 25, they come back to the pack a bit.
That comes down to Finn Sullivan a little bit because I think he's been the guy that's found it recently that did not have it going early on. Aaron Deloney's shooting percentages have dropped recently. I know it's something that he's working hard to get back going again. Matt Veretto feels like he's a 40% three-point shooter. Right now he's shooting 35%. So I think that you're correct, especially about Finn, because this team gets taken to another level when Finn Sullivan scores the ball. That is the biggest X factor. When Finn Sullivan scores the ball, this is a team that can be a dangerous 14, 15, not a 15. If Finn Sullivan scores the ball, they're dangerous as a 14 seed. If not, they're a good team, not nearly as good as they were last year. They would be a really solid group because their defense has been very good recently. I would agree with you that they've shot the ball better recently. I would also say they've defended at a much higher level as of late. There have been less miscues, less wide open looks for opponents. Binghamton had to grind for 40 minutes to score against this team. UMBC, the best offense in the conference, has been held under 70 twice against UVM. So I would say it's a mix of a couple of those things. And you're right. When Finn Sullivan makes those jumpers, this team is at a different level, and they are going to be really tough to beat.
Don't they go hand in hand, though? I'm curious about what you hear behind the scenes, because this is something I was saying, months ago. Look, when you're making shots, well, then you can get back, set up a defense. The other team's not in transition. The other team doesn't have you scrambling. And that's what we saw a lot earlier in the year. You mentioned Binghamton. Well, hey, if I hit 11 threes and can walk back on defense and force you to play in the half court, don't they go hand in hand, Brian?
You're right. They do go hand in hand. I think that Vermont does feel they're actually one of the best transition defenses in the country. It's why they were in the game against USC. They feel very comfortable with their transition defense. But you're exactly right that Vermont is suffocating in the half court. When they can slow you down and play at their tempo, they're fine defending for 30 seconds of the shot clock. That's okay with UVM. They're willing to do that. And they're willing to force you to take tough contested 2-point jumpers. So you're right. When Vermont can play that slower tempo game out of transition, especially on the defensive end, you're exactly right. They're a tough team to score on pretty much for any team in this conference to execute against in the half court.
Get you out of here on this. You saw what one looked like last year, and that's Player of the Year. Does Robin Duncan look like a Player of the Year to you?
It's a fascinating question.
To me, it comes down to, how do you view the award? Do you view it as valuable or best?
Yes, you're exactly right. Because there is, to me, for the first time in 6 years, no clear-cut Player of the Year on this Vermont team. Now, everybody always says, they'll give it to the best player on the best team. That then comes down to, if that is how it goes, best player, say UVM's the best team, who is Vermont's best player? Because Robin Duncan is that steady Eddie. He's averaging career highs in minutes, points, rebounds, assists. His assist to turnover ratio is over 4 in conference play. He's routinely guarding players bigger than him. He is doing it all. But at his best, Finn Sullivan remains this team's best player. And we saw that when he scored 28 against NJIT. We saw it when he scored 20 against Binghamton. If he can put those numbers up consistently throughout the second half of this conference season, I think Finn Sullivan is still this team's best player. Because of his work on the defensive end. As great and as steady as Robin is defensively, nobody impacts the defensive side of the ball more than Finn Sullivan. He just takes players out of the game with his length. He's listed at 6'4", Brady. He's 6'6", with a wingspan of about 6'7". He is a long, athletic defender that every game is able to take somebody out of it. You saw it against UMass Lowell. UVM does not have Finn Sullivan. UMass Lowell's point guard, Ayende Hakeem, had his best game of the season. So UVM is looking forward to having Finn back defensively when they play UMass Lowell again. To me, the Player of the Year award could come down to those two between UVM. But again, Dylan Penn has a chance to go for some big games on the offensive end. And who knows, maybe it goes to somebody on a different team this year. I think UVM would tell you, look, you can give it to, say it's Kareem Abdul-Coulibaly for UMass Lowell. Say it's Sharif Gross-Bullock for Bryant. That's fine. You can have the individual award. They want that conference title. And Robin and Finn will tell you that same thing. But it's a fascinating debate. And last year's was fun, too. Was it Benny? Was it Ryan? This year's is completely different, but it's a fun conversation nonetheless.
We had Finn on earlier this week, and we told him that he told us he might bring the goggles back out for one game this year. So see if you could do some work on the inside to make that happen.
As somebody who wore goggles in middle school basketball, I would love that. That would be phenomenal.
Brian McLaughlin, UVM men's basketball broadcaster. Catamounts on the road tomorrow. They're taking on UAlbany, and let's hope they can get to 7-2. Brian, man, appreciate you, and we'll talk again soon.
Appreciate it as always, Brady. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Love talking with Brian as well. Catamounts and Danes tomorrow at 3. And there's some good stuff to get to there as we come back from CBS News. But real quick, yeah, I really did. That was my job. I was throwing T-shirts at UAlbany basketball games. One of the best moments in America East Hoops history is Peter Hooley hitting the buzzer-beating 3 against, or nearly buzzer-beating 3 against Stony Brook to send UAlbany to the NCAA tournament. If you look closely enough, I'm in the corner of that video. That used to be my thing. I used to stand out there, get on the court, had the microphone, would pump up the crowd, would throw the T-shirts, T-shirt cannon, throw the T-shirts as far as I could, tease for threes, all that kind of stuff. It was a blast. I had a great time. I got paid like $100 a game every time I did a UAlbany game. I did men's games. I did women's games. I did all of them, and I loved it. So some good stuff, though, on the actual basketball game for Brian. We'll recap that on the other side of the CBS News update. But another insane Tom Brady take today. Seriously, 2 in 2 days. I'll tell you what it was next on DEV.
96.1 WDEV FM Warren, 96.5 W243 AT Barrie, 98.3 W252 CU Montpelier, AM 550 WDEV Waterbury.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Peter King in Orlando. From the Midwest to the Northeast, the deep freeze is getting deeper, with wind chills at or well below zero. For example, minus 37 in Milton, Vermont. WBZ Radio's Kim Tunnicliffe is in Boston, where it feels like minus 10.
The gusty wind is rattling the plastic roof on the MBTA shelter that shields passengers from the cold here at Long Wharf. Sarah is taking the ferry back to Hingham. She stays inside the boat where it's nice and warm.
I feel like you're enclosed, so you're not exposed to the elements. Guessing it's going to be pretty rocky. It was pretty rocky this morning.
Is there heat in there?
Yeah.
Ryan Vaughn says waiting for the boat out in the bone-chilling cold is worse than being on the boat out on the water.
I mean, hey, we'll be inside. That's better than standing waiting for the boat. This is horrible. I totally get why they canceled school. I wish they'd canceled work.
Kim Tunnicliffe for CBS News, Boston.
In Austin, power's still out for tens of thousands of customers. Reporter Chris Fox.
400 public utility crews in Austin and Travis County have been working 24/7, clearing fallen trees and fixing down power lines left in the wake of one of the city's worst ice storms. Austin Mayor Kirk Watson continues to face criticism for the slow response and poor communications.
City let its citizens down. The situation is unacceptable to the community, and it's unacceptable to me. And I'm sorry.
Chris Fox for CBS News, Austin.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken has canceled his planned trip to Beijing, saying it's not appropriate with a Chinese surveillance balloon flying over the U.S. Midwest.
The presence of this surveillance balloon in U.S. airspace is a clear violation of U.S. sovereignty and international law, that it's an irresponsible act, and that the PRC's decision to take this action on the eve of my planned visit is detrimental to the substantive discussions that we were prepared to have.
China claims it's a scientific balloon that went off course. An American humanitarian aid worker has been killed in Ukraine while on a medical mission. Here's CBS's Linda Kenyon.
33-year-old Pete Reed was working with Global Outreach doctors in Ukraine when he was killed. A statement from Global Outreach says Reed had stepped away from his role as board president to work in the field and render aid. The agency also says Pete's death is a stark reminder of the perils that rescue and aid workers face in conflict zones. Reed was a decorated U.S. Marine before he turned to working in humanitarian aid.
The government says some 517,000 jobs were added to the economy in January, about twice as many as expected. Bankrate.com's Mark Hamrick.
The stronger than expected employment report stands in direct conflict with fears of an imminent recession, which has been weighing on the minds of economists and business leaders alike. It should also give consumers some added confidence.
On Wall Street, the Dow was not impressed, losing 128 points. This is CBS News.
You want to go someplace new? Yeah, you do.
Just follow me. I'll lead the way.
Welcome to CBS Mornings.
See something new.
Oh, my God. That was a good moment. Learn something new. This is my first virtual reality interview.
Meet someone new. Like me. Nate B in the house. What?
There's always something new under the sun.
I came to shine because you guys are shining this morning.
CBS Mornings, weekdays on CBS. I'm Nora O'Donnell in the nation's capital.
The CBS Evening News with Nora O'Donnell, bringing understanding.
Mr. President, there's a lot to talk about.
A lot to talk about.
With facts first.
Is this a national emergency?
Unbiased reporting.
Do you think she was afraid to report what happened in Afghanistan?
Yes, ma'am.
And you put your life on the line. Why do you do it?
I just love being out there. Making sense of our world.
Do you think there's something about the pandemic that unites us all?
The CBS Evening News with Nora O'Donnell, weeknights on CBS.
The parents of a man shot and killed last year by Minneapolis police are suing the city. Here's CBS's Jim Crisula.
The parents of Amir Locke, a 22-year-old black man killed by a Minneapolis police officer when a SWAT team executed a no-knock search warrant a year ago, are suing the city and the officer. Locke's mother, Karen Wells.
We're not going to let up, and we're not going to shut up. So if y'all tired of us talking about it, do something about the problem in this country.
Body camera video showed Locke holding a gun before he was shot. Prosecutors decided against charging any officers. Jim Crisula, CBS News.
In the early 2000s, Central Florida science teacher Joe Acaba dreamed of becoming an astronaut. Well, NASA accepted his application, and he flew 3 times, once on the space shuttle, twice on the space station. Now, Joe Acaba has become NASA's chief astronaut, and among other things, he'll help decide just who flies NASA's forthcoming moon landing missions. I'm Peter King, CBS News.
Your chance to be part of the show is on the text line at 802-585-3026.
This is Field Yates of ESPN, and you're listening to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV Radio and the WDEV app.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. We take you to the bottom of the hour, and then it is Norwich Cadets hockey. The Cadets taking on Southern Maine. It's George Como night, so we're on here for the next 25 minutes. Again, the Cadets opening up their final home weekend of the regular season. Real quick, just want to wrap up the UVM basketball thoughts here. Always good to catch up with Brian McLaughlin. They're the Catamount broadcaster. UVM should win this game by 15 plus. Albany is not good. They are a huge mess. The Great Danes really have been one of the best programs in the America East for the entire time that I've been around the America East, and that's 15, 20 years almost. And they're 1-8 this year in league play. They are in last place in league play. Dwayne Killings has had some rough situations as the head coach there, served a suspension for some off-the-court stuff. This team had a bunch of transfers. They're not very good. And yes, they're on the road. UVM is on the road, but UVM should win this game by 15 plus. If this game is close, that's a problem, right? If we come in here on Monday and UVM has won this game 72-68, that's way too close for comfort. This should be a game that UVM wins, 80-63, something like that. This should be a blowout. And that's what I'm expecting, and that's what I'm calling for it. If UVM wins this game by 4, it's not good enough. If they win this game by 6, it's not good enough. They got to win this game by no less than 10, but really they got to win it by 15 or more for me to be happy. And it's really too bad that Albany has fallen like this. One, they were a great rival with UVM, right? When UVM and Albany were both good, there were maybe no better games in the America East than those games. And, in this iteration of the America East, I don't go back as far as Delaware and Boston University and those schools. But in the modern day America East, there were almost no better games than a UVM and UAlbany game when those teams were good. And UAlbany was good for a long time. And to see them fall like this has really been tough. Again, I grew up there. My brother went to UAlbany. I worked at UAlbany. I have a soft spot for Albany. Now I'm a UVM fan. But when I was covering UAlbany, I went to 3 straight NCAA tournaments, right? 3 straight. And I was at SFQ Arena for one of them, at least, when I was working there, maybe even 2 of them. And it was great. 3 straight NCAA tournaments. They were awesome. And now to be 1-8, it's just that is tough. And it shows you how hard it is to sustain greatness in a program at this level. So it's impressive what UVM has done, but Albany should not be 1-8. They have too many. They have good enough facilities. They're in a good enough recruiting area. It's a state school. You should be able to, get some good kids from New York in there. It's tough that they're, to see them down like this. But, all right, I want to move over to another insane Tom Brady take today. So yesterday, it was Adam Jones of WEEI saying that he respected Tom Brady less for his decision to retire. And today, It's former Patriots linebacker and Brady's former teammate, Ted Johnson, saying he'd respect Brady less if he signed a one-day contract with the Pats.
I would lose a little bit of respect for him. I would lose a little bit of respect for Tom because of how he left here, because they didn't want him, because they didn't give him a contract that was really worthy of what his services were. And the way it ended here, for him to come back symbolically and do that for them, I just don't think he's got it in him, and I lose a little respect.
So Johnson says he'd lose a little bit of respect for Brady if he signed a one-day contract with the organization. You already know how I feel about this, right? I've said I want Brady to sign a one-day contract. I like it. Robert Kraft has said he wants Brady to sign a one-day contract. Ted Johnson says I'd lose a little respect for Brady if he did that. Really? How do you feel about that? 802-585-3026, because I'll tell you, I'd actually respect Brady more if he signed a one-day contract with the Patriots, because it would be the mature thing to do. It would show the burying of the hatchet. It would show the swallowing of the pride. I have more respect for you if you can do that stuff. You don't get brownie points in society because you have the ability to hold a grudge. You get brownie points in society if you can move past a grudge. Ted Johnson's like, I want Brady to stay bitter at the Patriots. Like, yeah, he was bitter before. He should stay bitter now. That's not how life works. You don't get brownie points for being able to hold on to a grudge a little bit longer. I would find it more respectful for Tom Brady if he didn't hold the grudge, if he got past it. Look, I get it. When Tom Brady left here, he had hurt feelings, and he had every right to have hurt feelings. He wanted to stay. Bill Belichick didn't value him enough. Robert Kraft didn't step in and override Bill Belichick's decision. Robert Kraft also let him go. I get where Tom Brady's hurt came from after the 2019 season. I would have been upset also. I would have felt the exact same way. But Tom Brady got the last laugh in all this, didn't he? In the battle of Brady against the Patriots, Tom Brady got the last laugh. He went to Tampa. He proved he could play still. He proved he could play somewhere else. He proved he could succeed somewhere else. He went to the playoffs 3 times. He won his division 3 times. He won a Super Bowl. He became the first player ever to win a Super Bowl in his own stadium. I mean, the Patriots missed the playoffs twice in the 3 years that Brady was there in Tampa winning the division. Brady won the end of that conflict. Now it's time to bury the hatchet, and it's time to bury the bad blood. That is respectful, right? Brady can look at it and say, I won. Now it's time to move past that. That's what I look as more respectful. Ted Johnson's like, Brady was mad before. I'd be a little disappointed if he just was okay now. We want people to drop grudges. We want people to be mature. We want people to do the right thing. This is all of that. This is doing the right thing. Like, are you a tough guy? Like, look, I've never been divorced. If you get divorced, are you a tough guy for blowing off your ex forever? Does that make you a tough guy? No. What makes you a tough guy is the ability to withstand the awkwardness of being around your ex, shake her hand, give her a hug, tell her you're happy for her in her new life, and then move on. That's what makes you a tough guy. You're not a tough guy just for blowing her off, and you're not a tough guy for carrying around a grudge. If he comes back to Foxborough, signs the one-day contract, that's the sign of maturity. And you know what, too? Ted Johnson and anybody else, it's not even about Tom Brady. It's about putting on a good face for the fans. And it's about putting on a good face for Robert Kraft, a guy you admire and have a great relationship with. You don't get brownie points for holding on to anger and resentment. You get brownie points for getting rid of anger and resentment. Signing a one-day contract would be a nice gesture. Yes, it would be symbolic. To some of you, that doesn't matter. To me, it does. To most of the fans, it does. To Robert Kraft, it does. Brady already won the Cold War between the Patriots and between the Patriots and him. He already won that. Now, mend fences. Everybody's back in good graces. Move forward so the fans can have their one great moment with you again, where they see you with the Patriots jersey, and then it leads to more great moments. The statue, the jersey retirement, the Pats Ring of Honor, the Hall of Fame induction in Canton. This sets the groundwork for all of that to be cordial, good, and receptive. Everybody seems to think that Brady won't do it. I still think there's a good chance that he will. I get it. It's not really in his cards or really in his nature. But Tom Brady loves Robert Kraft. And Tom Brady should love the Patriots fans. I think for them, there's still a good chance that he doesn't. When it would happen, that I don't know. But I think there's a chance that it does. Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line open 802-585-3026. Peter in Williston. I guess the hate and loss of respect for TB12 sounds more like they want him to give the Pats and Belichick the Heisman, despite the diplomacy TB12 may want to exhibit because he's friends with Robert Kraft. Texter says, it's way too early now. Think of Bill Buckner. You're telling me that Bill Buckner and Tom Brady are in the same category with this thing? Bill Buckner, I get him not wanting to come back to Fenway. I get him not wanting to bury the hatchet. Red Sox fans made his life miserable forever. Tom Brady is universally celebrated. This is not even in the same stratosphere. Text says from Ross, I can't stand when mediocre former players open their mouths to try to be relevant again. Well, Ross, Ted Johnson's on TV a lot. This is not a one-off comment. Ted Johnson is on NBC Sports Boston every week during football season. He's on in the offseason too, I believe. So Ted Johnson is around. This is not like new for him. What I think this comes down to, and this is just me speculating, is Ted Johnson does not really like Bill Belichick. He does not believe that Bill Belichick handled his concussion issues well. Right? I think he thinks that Bill Belichick made him play hurt, made him play with a concussion, etc. So I think Ted Johnson holds a grudge. So he wants everyone else to hold a grudge. That's where I think this is at. Texter says, Tom Brady made history. He can do basically what he wants to do. Yeah, he can. But I think that this would be the right thing to do. Tom Brady's 45 years old, right? He's 45 years old. He should have the maturity to recognize what is the right thing to do. And the right thing to do is to shake Robert Kraft's hand again and be in the room with them and hold the jersey and do it for the fans and have one more press conference in Foxborough talking about how great it is. And then if they really make him wait 4 years until the Patriots Ring of Honor, it's going to be 4 years before we hear similar sentiment again. Let everyone have that moment now. Let everyone have that moment now. 802-585-3026. I do want to get a quick mention here. We got about 13 minutes left on the show today. Today, people, is truck day for your Boston Red Sox. The truck is loaded. The equipment is ready. The truck is on its way to Fort Myers. The Red Sox will be there with it soon. The first workout for pitchers and catchers is February 15th. We're just 12 days away. I am getting excited. We did a little bit of this yesterday at the end of the show. I'll spend about 2 minutes on it now. I am pumped for spring training, and I hope you're getting there as well. I know the Red Sox don't seem like they'll be very good. I know I've predicted them to not be very good. That does not mean that I'm not excited. That does not mean that I will not watch. At spring training specifically, there is a lot to pay attention to for the Red Sox. They have a ton of questions. And when you have a ton of questions, there's a ton of things you need answered. and you start to get them answered in spring training. One, how does Chris Sale look? The results are less important. The process is important. Is Chris Sale the guy throwing 97 or is he throwing 93? Is Chris Sale able to bounce back from a start and be okay the next day? The same with James Paxton. Is he 97 or is he 93? Can he bounce back the next day? There is a lot of questions with this Red Sox rotation. They need those two guys to be great. They're being counted on for a lot. Too much, if you ask me, but they're being counted on for a lot. The Red Sox need to get answers on them. How about their other starters? Garrett Whitlock. Can he go 5-6 innings? He's great as a reliever. He's great for 3 batters. He's great one time through the order for 3 innings. Can he be a guy who can be great for 5 or 6 innings every time out there? How's his hip? Tanner Houck wants to be a starter. Is he okay being a reliever? How's his attitude? Does he continue to buy into that stuff? Kike Hernandez, Christian Arroyo, their health. Rafael Devers, his leadership abilities. What kind of role does he take on there? Devers is going to be gone for the World Baseball Classic playing for the Dominican Republic, but when he's there, what kind of impact does he have? Kike Hernandez is going to be gone too for Puerto Rico, but how does he look in the time that he's there? How does he look playing for Puerto Rico? Does he look healthy? How much time can he get in learning second base and shortstop on a full-time basis when he's playing outfield for Puerto Rico? Tristan Casas, his development. Alberto Mondesi, his health. Yoshida playing in the World Baseball Classic. How does he look there? I won't see him in camp a lot. So how does he look in the WBC? They're all questions that we can get answered between February 15th and March 30th. So they're all things that I can't wait to find out. So plenty to get to here. So it is truck day. I can't wait for it. Texter says, I'm pumped for it as well. Good. Get on board because we are your home for Red Sox baseball. And look, maybe the Red Sox will surprise us. I think there's 2 ways this season goes, though. This season can go, though. I don't think there's a lot of middle ground here. I think the Red Sox win 85 games. Everyone's healthy. And the team stays together. And they're within shouting distance of the wild card. Right? There's 3 wild card spots. They're within shouting distance of a wild card. Or they start slow. They're injured. They lose a lot of games early. And then they trade guys away and they finish at 68 wins. Like, I think the odds of the Red Sox, winning 76 games are not real great. I think the odds of them winning 81 games are not real great. I think they are good enough to be in the playoff race, or they are way out of it because they have so many questions that those questions get answered poorly. It's going to be a long season. I hope I'm wrong. 2021, I thought the Red Sox were going to be awful. They went to the ALCS. They were 2 wins away from the World Series. So I've been wrong before. But this doesn't look like it'll be a great season. But if everything goes well, look, if Duvall hits 30 and brings in 100 again, it's huge. If Yoshida hits his projections, has 20 home runs and hits 305, it's huge. If Arroyo and Kike stay healthy the whole year, it's huge. If Mondesi is what he was in 2019 and can play 130 games and steal 50 bases, then it's huge. If Sale looks like Chris Sale of 3 years ago, it's huge. I don't know that he will. I don't think we can forecast that he will, but teams have come into seasons before with if, and all the ifs have turned into good things. We'll see how this plays out, but I am pumped for baseball. I tell you that. We are a month and 5 days away from the start of the World Baseball Classic. March 8th is the first those games in Asia. And I think, I looked at the bracket yesterday. I think the Netherlands are over there, South Korea, Japan. So I think the U.S.'s first game is like March 11th or something like that. I know not everybody here cares about the WBC. I'm just happy to get baseball that's meaningful, right? I don't want anybody to get hurt, but I'm just happy to get baseball that's meaningful. It's more fun to me to watch a WBC game than it is to watch a spring game. Texter says, I think the Sox can win 85 to 90 wins because the pitching is going to be better than 2022. I do not think the Red Sox are a 90-win team. My goodness. Let's not get carried away here. They are better than last year in some spots and worse in others. Look, this team lost Xander Bogaerts, lost JD Martinez, and lost Trevor Story now. So those three are hard to replace. Now you're gaining Yoshida, you're gaining Casas, you're gaining Kike, hopefully. So I think that there are good things there, but you lose JD, you lose Bogaerts, and you lose JD, you lose Bogaerts, and you lose Story. I mean, you're up against it. And I don't place any reliance on Chris Sale. The Sox have to rely on him, but I don't place any confidence in him being that guy. I just don't. But again, if things go well, then they got a shot. But I don't think 90 wins is attainable. The AL is going to be a dogfight. The American League is going to be a dogfight. I mean, you look at it, the Yankees are loaded. The Astros are loaded. So those two teams are loaded. Toronto is loaded. And they got better this offseason, right? They got better. So they were very good last year. And they went and added some pitching this offseason. So I like Toronto, of course. Then Tampa's always good. So that's four teams that are great. And then, look, Seattle was in the playoffs last year. The Angels have gotten better. Someone's going to win the Central. Cleveland looks pretty good. The White Sox should be good. Baltimore is certainly capable of being in the conversation again. So there's a lot of stuff going on here. American League is going to be very, very difficult. Texter says, Story was barely around in 22 anyways. Bogaerts and Martinez were below their career averages. That's true. That's true. But I still think Xander Bogaerts looks better than Christian Arroyo does full time. I still think I think JD Martinez and Justin Turner are a wash. That at this point, that I would agree with. But you know, losing Story, you got your accountant on, not having Bogaerts, I think that's tough. All right, a couple minutes away from Norwich hockey. There's a topic I've wanted to get to here for a couple of days. I just want to get it out of my system.
Whoa. What did he say? They have an expensive but totally unimpressive receiving core, and they have absolute best, at most charitable, the 9th best quarterback in their own conference. They really said that?
Every damn thing is politics and race, and I'm losing my mind over it.
It's time for Who's Saying What on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
All right, Who's Saying What today? This is about load management in the NBA. It's a topic we haven't talked much about here this year, but load management has been a topic again nationally because stars are missing games left and right? Luka's out now with an injury. Kawhi Leonard's missed a bunch of games. LeBron's missed some games. Paul George. So on one hand, you got guys skipping games. On the other hand, here in Boston, we're talking about Jason Tatum if he's playing too many games. So the idea of load management is in the news again. And I'll just say this as we get out of here for the day. Load management is a very nuanced conversation that no one seems to be able to have a nuanced conversation about. The answer to load management is not cut and dry like people make it out to be. And the media and the fans are a part of the problem, right? Because look, when stars sit, we yell at them and tell them they need to play. And then when stars play every game like Jason Tatum, and he's gassed at the end of the finals, we start wondering, well, should he have played that many games? So, you can't have it both ways. If you're going to tell the guys to play, then accept the fact that they might not be at their best at the end of June. I am, in general, not as mad about load management as everybody else is. In general. I do believe that teams and players have overused and abused load management, but in general, I am not totally against the concept. We do see load management in other sports. People don't want to think about it, but we do see load management. Catchers sit the day game after a night game. Relievers that don't pitch 3 days in a row. Starters that have innings limits. NFL players sit out of practice all week long. Then we get running backs that split time. So we see that all the time, right? Rotational defensive players so they stay fresh. The difference is that those guys are playing in games rather than sitting them out. But still, we see load management. I came up with what I believe is an acceptable answer here. If you are a fully healthy NBA player, fully healthy, I think you should play at least 73 games in a season. If you're fully healthy, I give you 9 games to sit out for load management. And what I did is I did some math. I did a proportion. I decided that in baseball, I would be okay if my regulars, if they were fully healthy, played 145 games. If Rafael Devers played 145 games for the Red Sox and sat out 17 of them, I'd be good, right? I wouldn't look too sideways at that. Well, the equivalent of that over an 82-game season is playing 73 games. So I'd be good if NBA players play 73 and miss 9. I've called for Jason Tatum to play less because he's not 100%. He's got an injured wrist. So that's something that worries me. But healthy players, I believe, should play 73 games. But again, it's a nuanced conversation. 19-year-old plays 34 games in a college season. Does the next year, should he really play 82? Probably not. So the guy that's a year or two out of college, I'm okay with them taking some more nights off, right? Guy throws 100 innings in the minor leagues. We don't ask him to throw 215 the next year. He throws 130, then 150, then 170, and then now all of a sudden he's a 200-inning guy 4 years later. I'm okay with that kind of progression in the NBA. 19-year-olds should not play 50 more games than they played the season prior in college. Older players, I'm okay with taking some more nights off. So really, I'm talking about the sweet spot guys. The 23 to 30-year-olds that should have a routine down, those guys, I want to play 73 out of 82 games. Again, it's not something that I worry about as much as other people do. Mainly because the Celtics don't always engage in it, right? Robert Williams, who's not 100%, he takes off nights for load management. I'm okay with that. I want him healthy in June. Tatum and Brown aren't taking off a whole lot of nights. Marcus Smart isn't taking a whole lot of nights off. Tex says load management has a lot to do with how teams are doing position-wise for post-seeding, too. The NBA plays too many games, and the travel and practice schedule can be grueling. I don't know. I don't think they play too many games. Play 182 in baseball. They play 82 in hockey. Everybody seems to get through it all right there. So I'm not buying it's too many games. They've already taken out the back-to-backs. They've already, hockey has an off week. I'm less inclined to shorten the season. I am inclined now to send you out to Kreitzberg Arena. A very special night at Kreitzberg. George Como night. The Cadets taking on Southern Maine. The kickoff to the final regular season home weekend of Georgia's Norwich broadcasting career. I hope they're back in Kreitzberg for the playoffs. Everybody stay safe, drive safe. I'll see you again on Monday. Monday, we're kicking off our fake Super Bowl week, people. Our fake Super Bowl week. Well, it's Super Bowl week, but it's our fake radio row. Some of the biggest names and the best guests all week long. We're doing it here on the Brady Farkas Show. Again, stay warm, drive safe, have a good weekend. Go Norwich. Congrats to you, George Como. You're a legend. We appreciate you, and we will see you again on Monday.
Do you own land with a single or double wide home? Visit Fecto Homes, where